Hey, how's it going, guys? I'm Chris, and this is Regular Guy Training. So, with my son on the way, and us being within a week of when he's going to get here, either he comes himself or he gets induced, a lot of people have been asking how do they support, the channel and all of that, especially with the business coming up. A lot of guys are at a financial point in their life where they can't come out and train with us and that kind of deal. So I figured I would publish a video that's very open-ended in that, this isn't a video focused directly on me, because as a lot of you guys know, people that are of like the conservative community on YouTube, the gun guy community on YouTube, and the skeptic community on YouTube, that kind of thing. These people have been freaking mutilated by YouTube and their algorithms, because YouTube in recent years has become very, very, very anti-wrong think, quote unquote. They are pushed very towards a political correctness thing, and I figured I would publish this video just to kind of give you guys an understanding as like what exactly you can do to help out your current favorite set of YouTube content creators and stuff, because the only reason why these channels still exist and the only reason why YouTube hasn't gone full retard is because they're so successful, right? Like anti-SJW YouTube channels and a lot of gun guy channels and a lot of conservative channels are just kicking the asses of everyone's competition, because they preach the most common sense. They preach the most anti-political correctness and that kind of thing. So aside of clicking on a video and watching it like you're doing now, there are a couple of things that really do help. So let's talk about a couple of things as far as YouTube algorithm, how it works, and how to help people that you support, right? So the first thing and the main thing is clicking on the video and watching it all the way through, right? Now, I know that there are a lot of people with longer videos and stuff that are out there, but a big reason why they are longer is to essentially funnel engagement, or quote traffic. That's what YouTube deems it, right? Videos that are watched all the way through, even if they're short or long, register in the positive as far as YouTube traffic is concerned. And what that essentially means is, are the videos being watched? And that's the view count. How long are they being watched? Are people hitting the like button? Are people leaving comments? Are they subscribing? And are they hitting the notifications button? Right? That's the little bell in the lower right of the screen, right by subscribe. So it's one of those deals where it's like, if all those things are happening with lots and lots of people, this video must be popular with a lot of folks. And what that does is that it sends that video towards people who watch similar videos, like someone who's never watched a video from me whatsoever, but has looked up a Sam 7 review, right? Arsenal Sam 7 review in the last few months. He would get a recommended from my channel on that video, because as of late it had a lot of traffic on it, there were a lot of likes, and there were lots of comments on it as well, right? And according to my numbers on that video, there were a bunch of subscribers and stuff too. So in a nutshell, that is the biggest way to help, is that sitting there and watching through the videos, hitting the like button, leaving a comment that isn't one word. And that's something to know, because a lot of guys that type up first to be the first comment and stuff like that, it essentially registers as like spam in the traffic world as far as YouTube is concerned. So it's kind of discarded. If there's a bajillion one-word comments on a video, it essentially isn't counted, right? So even if it's a few words, like first to view this video, submit, it isn't filtered out as spam. So that's a big way to help a lot of content creators, and the only reason really why it's paid attention to is because a while back there were a lot of videos where you know, people would put out essentially like spoof clickbait titles that didn't really have any information on them at all, you know, and YouTube sought to get rid of those and put up the actual content creators, and that's based off of how long they're watching the videos and all the things that I previously mentioned, right? Now, for guys that want to take the step further, you know, sharing a video to other people via Facebook or whatever, all it really does is that it just drives more traffic toward you, because it's something else that YouTube tracks, how many shares were added to that particular video, how many times it was favorited and that kind of thing. Even though a video being marked as favorited doesn't really mean very much according to the YouTube algorithms, because, you know, most people just kind of like scroll through videos or just leave them running or whatever. So as far as just all YouTube creators are concerned, that's the best way to help them all out, you know, to watch the videos all the way through. Even if you're skipping through the ads as they come up, if you have YouTube Red, it helps content creators out even more, because it's not hit by the quote adpocalypse, where for those of you who bothered with YouTube Red, and I understand why many of you don't, but for those of you that do, you guys help a lot, because that in that way, those views essentially, and we're just talking about numbers, and we're talking about the cents on the dollar per view, right? The guys that have the YouTube Red subscription actually help out Gun Guy, like Gun Guy and the controversial YouTube channels on YouTube. They help them out quite a bit more, because it helps balance out with the whole demonetization thing. So, and let me explain this too. A while back, people were freaking out about the whole being demonetized thing, and YouTube knee-jerked in their reaction to how they do certain things as far as what gets monetized and what doesn't. And for a little while, I was making about nothing off of YouTube, and the only real reason why it's relevant is that the ad revenue that I make off of YouTube essentially pays for bullets, right? It pays for the bullets that I use in the tests. So in a way that hurt, because it's one of those things where it's like, well, shit, my budget for bullets is gone essentially, and for a few months it was actually pretty bad, you know, across the board. Not just Gun Guys, but the conservative channels, anything featuring any sort of violence whatsoever. Even like gaming channels were getting freaking molested by this system. But the way it works now is that YouTube is actually pretty slimy with how they mess with people. Because like for instance, I posted the Sam 7 review recently, right? And this goes with every video I've posted for like the last year. So what happens is that when you post a video and you're on one of those, you know, controversial channels, the first thing that's going to happen is like a day or so after your video gets put on the website, it gets flagged for limited or no ads because of the content that's on there. And that could have to do with the thumbnail, the content within the video itself, the tags that you use, the title, a huge number of different things. And that little flag will disappear after a few days. Now, what does that do? What it really does is that it hits you in the most productive portions of the life of that video, for those that are subscribed to that content creator and stuff, because when that video is put up, the most traffic that you get is within the first few days, right? So what it does is that it negatively impacts that person, because when they would receive the most traffic, that's when they're hit the hardest. And then after a little while, the flagging just magically goes away if you don't contest it. And if you contest it, you will more than likely receive a community guidelines strike. And that's how certain channels were removed from YouTube in the first place. You know. So, I mean, it sucks. It really does. But it's one of those things where it's like, we have to deal with this, because this is the best way to get the word out on all kinds of shit. You know, it's not just gun guy related, it's political, it's social, it's all of that stuff. So people keep on using YouTube because there's nothing that comes even close to contesting it. I'm sorry. And there won't be for some time. You know, unless there's some serious money backing it, there's no reason why any other source out there like VidMe or whatever is going to contest YouTube. You know, and the reason why a lot of gun guys stay is because it's the most effective way to reach people. That's just a fact, you know. So it is what it is at that point, but the only way that YouTube content creators can really fight that, essentially, is to have their videos relevant enough to stand the test of time. That's all it is. Because after those few days, you have the normal... now, it's at the point where you have, like, the normal ad revenue cycle and all that other stuff. So, you know, you get hit really hard right in the beginning, and then after that, you hope that the video receives a lot of good traction. That's all that really is. You know, so there's that, and that is essentially the way to help out all of your other YouTube content creators. Now, the next thing, and this is for a lot of people, is a lot of YouTube channels have resorted to the Patreon thing, myself included, right? To essentially make up for the difference. And the difference in that really is, it's destructive, because there was a point where I was making enough money to fund my bullet habit and all that other stuff, and there was enough left over to start, you know, saving up a little bit of money for extra gear. Now it's barely enough for that ammo, so I can do the testing, right? So a lot of YouTube guys that do this for a living went to the Patreon thing so that they can be crowdfunded, and that essentially makes up the difference. Now, this is a more direct way to essentially contribute to the YouTube content creators that you like. However, for me, it's really difficult to sit there and say, you know, hey, you know, throw money at everybody that you like, because it's a donation-based thing, and I feel really, really fucking weird, you know, asking for that kind of stuff. And that's why, you know, as far as the company is concerned, I offered the $35 a month thing, where, you know, essentially for a little over the price of 2 classes total from so you could train with us as long as you want. I figured that the dollar amount there really does help out. And for those that donate, the rest of the way, the rest of that money goes to, you know, other things other than me directly, right? So, and other things meaning bringing in soldiers from units and training them up without them spending a dime, that kind of deal. Because crowdfunding to me has always been a little... It's been a little bit of it feels really fucking grimy to do. You know what I mean? It feels really fucked up. So, I mean, if you want to go the extra mile and a quarter and do that kind of thing, that certainly is there. And, you know, there's a lot of people other than myself that do all kinds of really, really good work. And that's the only reason why I brought it up here in this video. Now, a lot of guys have been asking me what they should do or what they can do to help out with the baby coming, because I just started a company and all this other stuff. And some of you guys got like overzealous, or I can't even really say overzealous, but would get very determined to help, in that a couple of you have beaten me to death for an address so that you can send me stuff for the baby coming up. And here's how I put that, really. The first couple of times I did it with more than a few people, we would get the stuff and it would arrive, yay. But here's the thing, like, I'm a stepdad, right? So my wife, who's already gone through the baby phase, would see a lot of this stuff show up, and I have to defer the expertise to her immediately, right? Because, you know, just like she would defer gun guy shit to me. And essentially, and here's the thing, apparently for a newborn, Huggies is like the pro mag of shit containment. So if you guys want to send stuff, this, that, and the other, I can't say like yes anymore, right? Because she's, for really good reasons, picky about, you know, what she uses and what she doesn't and that kind of thing. So I have to respectfully ask that you guys not send stuff to the house anymore. Now, the most obvious way to help out with the newborn and all that stuff coming is I have a bajillion classes set up and more are on the way. Going to those helps more than anything else. Let's be honest here. Because that's a business revolving around training, and you take on individual clients and they pay money for it, right? It's way, way, way more helpful than anything else. You know, the next step is the Patreon thing, that $35 a month deal. That not only is that extraordinarily helpful, it's also consistent. You know what I mean? And even if you donate that little bit here and there, it goes a lot farther than you realize, because it makes a lot of the things that we are doing as far as bringing in soldiers and all this other shit feasible. You know? So, I mean, really that's the complete video on what to do to help out your individual content creators, and then a little bit of myself individually, because a lot of you guys, in essence, have been bombarding me with messages on what to do and how to help and this, that, and the other. So I figured I would just kind of post that out and let you guys know what's going on. All right. So now I'm not asking you to just leave your phone on leave your phone on while you do other shit, as far as, you know, like playing video games or just chilling, watching TV or whatever, and just let my videos play forevermore on your phone. But at the same time, it's like, this is it. You know, this is all that you can really do as far as helping out like your favorite content creators and all that. Because realistically speaking, without the interaction from you guys, without the likes, the shares, the freaking hell, even the dislikes, and the amount of time watched, because of the political climate of Google, a lot of these channels would have disappeared a long time ago. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, if you have any questions, throw them in the comments box below. If you want to come out and train with us, again, we have a bajillion different classes in a lot of different locations, and you may be surprised exactly how close it is to you. You know, I have a link for my website on that in the description below. If you want to help us out on Patreon, link for that in the description below. I've already explained, you know, what that does. If you want to jump on the Facebook page and, you know, get on the discussion, because I like jumping on every once in a while, looking at the discussions that are going on and put in my 2 cents or answer questions that people have, you know, the link for that is in the description below as well. So, you know, I figured I'd post this video just to try and help a few guys out and to essentially point people with good intentions in the right direction. So, with that being said, guys, remember, a regular guy's firearm is the last defense against tyranny. Be easy.